Plato's political philosophy is most fully articulated in his work, The Republic. In this dialogue, Plato explores the nature of justice and the ideal state. He argues that justice in the individual is mirrored in justice in the state, and that the best state is one that reflects the harmony of the soul, with each part performing its proper function. Plato's ideal state is ruled by philosopher kings, individuals who possess both the wisdom and the moral character necessary to govern justly. These rulers are educated in philosophy and the sciences, ensuring that they understand the true nature of the world and the forms, particularly the form of the good. In his model of the state, Plato divides society into three classes: the rulers, philosopher kings; the auxiliaries, soldiers and protectors; and the producers, farmers, craftsmen, and merchants. Each class has a specific role to play in ensuring the harmony of the state. The rulers govern based on knowledge and reason, the auxiliaries defend the state, and the producers provide for the material needs of the society. Plato's vision of the ideal state also includes the idea of a communal society in which the family and private property are abolished for the ruling class, to ensure that their decisions are made with the welfare of the state in mind rather than personal gain. Plato's views on education are central to his philosophy, particularly in terms of how individuals can achieve knowledge and virtue. For Plato, education was not simply a means of acquiring technical skills or factual knowledge, but rather a way to cultivate the soul and prepare individuals for participation in society. In The Republic, Plato outlines a detailed educational system designed to help individuals ascend from ignorance to knowledge, ultimately enabling them to understand the highest truths, the forms. His educational theory emphasizes the importance of both physical and intellectual training. Plato advocated for a rigorous curriculum that would begin with basic education in mathematics, music, and gymnastics. The study of mathematics, in particular, held a special place in his philosophy, as he believed that it trained the mind to think abstractly and logically, helping individuals to contemplate the nature of reality beyond the sensory world. The progression of education culminated in the study of philosophy, particularly the knowledge of the good, which was seen as the ultimate aim of human life. For Plato, the goal of education was not merely to foster technical expertise, but to produce citizens who could understand the true nature of justice, wisdom, and virtue. While Plato is often associated with his vision of the philosopher king and an ideal aristocratic rule, his views on democracy, particularly in his work The Republic, are more critical. Plato saw democracy, in the Athenian context of his time, as a form of government that was prone to chaos and corruption. He believed that democracy, which allowed for rule by the people, could lead to the rise of demagogues, leaders who manipulate public opinion for their own gain, rather than governing based on knowledge or virtue. Plato's critique of democracy centers around the idea that most people are not capable of ruling wisely because they lack the education, reason, and understanding required to make decisions that benefit the whole of society. In a democracy, decisions are made based on popular opinion, which Plato argued was often driven by ignorance, emotion, or self-interest. He contended that only those who have knowledge of the forms and the good, philosophers, are fit to rule. Thus, Plato viewed democracy as a system that could easily degenerate into tyranny, as the masses, lacking wisdom, might eventually allow a tyrant to seize power under the guise of serving the people's interests. One of Plato's most central contributions to philosophy is his theory of forms, or ideas, which addresses the nature of reality and knowledge. According to Plato, the physical world we experience through our senses is only a shadow or a mere reflection of a higher, unchanging reality. This higher reality consists of the forms, eternal and perfect ideals that exist independently of the material world. For example, while we may encounter many instances of beautiful things in the physical world, they are all imperfect and transient. However, in the realm of the forms, there exists the perfect form of beauty, which transcends any physical manifestation of beauty. Similarly, there are forms for justice, goodness, equality, and all other concepts or properties we encounter in life. The world of forms is accessible only through the mind, not through the senses. Plato argued that knowledge is not derived from sensory experience, but from intellectual insight into the forms. In this way, his epistemology, or the theory of knowledge, was rooted in the belief that true knowledge is a form of recollection. Since the soul has prior knowledge of the forms, Plato suggested that learning is essentially the process of remembering the knowledge the soul possessed before being born into the body. One of the most famous metaphors in Western philosophy comes from Plato's Republic, where he presents the allegory of the cave. In this allegory, Plato describes prisoners who have been chained in a dark cave their entire lives, only able to see the shadows cast on the wall by objects behind them. For the prisoners, these shadows are the only reality they know. However, one prisoner escapes and sees the outside world, coming to understand that the shadows were mere illusions, not the true source of reality. This allegory serves as a metaphor for the human condition. The cave represents the physical world, which is deceptive and illusory. The shadows represent the images and perceptions that we see with our senses, while the journey outside the cave symbolizes the philosopher's path to knowledge and enlightenment. The escape from the cave symbolizes the philosopher's ascent to the realm of the forms, where true knowledge and understanding can be found. Plato's philosophy also included a profound understanding of the soul. In his view, the soul is immortal and is divided into three parts: the rational, the spirited, and the appetitive. The rational part seeks knowledge and wisdom, the spirited part is responsible for emotions such as courage and ambition, and the appetitive part desires physical pleasures. Plato believed that the soul's highest function is to pursue knowledge and align itself with the realm of the forms. When the soul is properly ordered, the rational part governs the other two parts, ensuring harmony and balance. In contrast, when the soul is disordered, the appetitive and spirited parts dominate, leading to moral corruption and the pursuit of base desires. The soul's immortality, according to Plato, means that it undergoes a cycle of rebirths. After death, the soul leaves the body and enters a new one, continuing its journey until it attains the highest level of wisdom and understanding. Plato's ethical philosophy is grounded in his metaphysical belief in the forms, particularly the form of the good. The good is the highest of all forms, and is the source of all other forms. In the Republic, Plato describes the good as the sun that illuminates and gives life to all things. It is the ultimate principle, the highest reality that guides the philosopher toward wisdom, virtue, and knowledge. Plato's ethical theory emphasizes the importance of knowledge in achieving virtue. For Plato, virtue is not a matter of following rules or commands, but of knowing what is truly good. In this sense, Plato's ethics can be seen as an extension of his epistemology. Only those who know the good can act in accordance with it. Plato's influence on the history of philosophy is monumental. His development of a system of thought that emphasizes abstract reasoning and the pursuit of universal truths provided a foundation for much of Western philosophy. His work set the stage for later thinkers, including Aristotle, who was his student, and his dialogues have remained a source of intellectual inspiration for centuries. Even in the modern era, Plato's philosophy has had a lasting impact. His ideas have influenced philosophers as diverse as Immanuel Kant, who was drawn to Plato's metaphysical framework, and René Descartes, whose famous statement "cogito ergo sum," I think therefore I am, resonates with Plato's emphasis on reason as the foundation of knowledge. The enduring relevance of Plato's ideas continues to shape contemporary philosophy, with discussions of justice, ethics, and the nature of reality often returning to the roots he planted. Plato's ideas have had a profound and lasting impact on the development of Western philosophy. His notion of the forms has influenced subsequent thinkers, including Neoplatonists like Plotinus, who developed his own interpretation of Plato's metaphysical system. The idea of the immortal soul and the importance of reason and knowledge in achieving a virtuous life has also been a central theme in Christian theology, particularly in the writings of Augustine. Plato's influence reaches beyond philosophy, touching fields as diverse as theology, psychology, literature, and political science. His works have inspired countless philosophers, writers, and thinkers, and his vision of the ideal state and the pursuit of wisdom continues to serve as a guide for those seeking to understand the deeper meanings of existence and human nature.